Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're a little bit late today, but let's get started. Let's all stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, tonight our meeting is going to be chaired by Tonight, the meeting is going to be chaired by Bill Murphy, our illustrious lead Toastmaster for the evening. He has been active in Toastmasters for over 16 years. He's held many offices in our club and in the district. So I want to welcome Mr. Murphy up here now.
Thank you very much, Joe. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and members of the Community Media Center. Tonight is a great night because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a regular Toastmaster meeting of the Carroll County Toastmasters. Additionally, Channel 19 of Carroll County will be rebroadcasting our presentation tonight on Channel 19 sometime during the month of December. The second reason of why we're doing this here tonight is we're going to put the presentation on our website so that way people can look at this potential Toastmasters and we'll be able to get new members into our organization. So the meeting tonight is been put together, and just to look at your agenda sheets. First of all, our Sergeant of Arms is Joe Watts, who you just heard. I'm the Toastmaster today. We're going to have the speaker of the day. Number 1 is Kathleen Carpenter. Speaker number 2 will be Ken Rupert. And our speaker number 3 will be Mike Platt. After we have the third speaker speak, Leslie Piero, our Vice President of Education, will be coming up. And she's going to explain what table topics is, and then she's going to call in members of the audience. And if we have any guests that would be interested in answering any of these questions, feel free to put your hand up. After we have the table topics, then we'll have a 15-minute break. Following the break, our Sergeant of Arms will reconvene the meeting, and then Bob Logan will come up and he will explain what the general evaluation is all about. Following Bob Logan's general evaluation comments, then we have evaluator number 1, which would be Karen Spicer. Evaluator number 2 is Tina McCoven, and evaluator number 3 is Yvonne Asen. Additionally, what we will do is we'll have an A counter, because what that is a very important part of our presentation, and that'll be Judd Miles will be the A counter. The grammarian will be Yvonne Asen, and Joe Watts will be our timer for this evening. So before we begin, we just want to thank the Community Media Center for allowing us to be here tonight, because without them, it wouldn't be possible. So finally, at this time, I'd like to call up our first speaker, which is Kathleen Carpenter. Kathleen is a new Toastmaster, and Kathleen will be talking about herbs. Kathleen has been a member of the Carroll County Toastmasters for 3 months, and she's also learning Spanish. So Kathleen, come on up, and we're looking forward to your presentation. Kathleen Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. By the end of my presentation this evening, you will know how to identify certain herbs, and you also will know how to enjoy them. A little bit of history. Simon and Garfunkel wrote a song called Scarborough Fair. It was about a man who was trying to attain his true love. In medieval times, the herbs mentioned in the song were important virtues to the lyrics of the song. Parsley, was comfort. Parsley was comfort. Sage was strength. Rosemary was love. And thyme was courage. Many of us know curly parsley. It sits on a plate, and it's curly. This is Italian flat parsley. Both parsleys are high in vitamin K. It's a relative of celery, and it's often called rock celery. Sage with its silvery, velvety, grayish leaves. It is held in high regard because of its scientific name, salvia, which means to be saved. Evergreen. This is the evergreen shrub. Rosemary. Rosemary is memorable flavor and unique health benefits. Stimulate the immune system. It has an oily substance on its leaves. Rosemary was very popular and gained most of its popularity in Grecian times when students were studying for their exams and they put twigs in their hair to stimulate their memory. Thyme. Thyme has small, tiny leaves. Thyme is used in French cuisine. Thyme coupled with parsley and with bay leaves makes it good in stocks and stews. Now that we know some of our herbs, let's talk about where we're going to place our herbs. We need a sunny kitchen. We need a windowsill. We need to take our tape measure to the store with us so we know how long our windowsill is and how many pots to put in our window. The south or southwest window gives us the most light. Plants need at least 6 hours of sunlight. What if I don't have 6 hours of sunlight? I need a UV lamp. A UV lamp, 1 hour of sunlight equals 2 hours of UV lighting. Your plant should be 5 to 15 inches away from the UV light. Now that I know where I'm going to place my plant and I know what plant I'm going to do, I need to find out what pots I can use. There are several different types of pots. They come in clay pots and porcelain pots. The most important feature of a pot is to make sure it has a hole in the bottom. This is a glazed clay pot. This pot is just clay, and you need to make sure that you water it more often as the moisture will dissipate. Now that I have my pot, I need to know what my potting soil is going to be. Potting soil should be a multi-purpose potting soil. It should contain no peat. Peat will help dry out the plant much too quickly. And I know we all like Miracle-Gro, but we cannot use Miracle-Gro because our plants will not grow, they will die. They are too young, and they're too young. Now that I have my plant, I need to know what I'm going to do with it. We can use fresh herbs. Fresh herbs, we take the clippings, we wash them, we paper towel dry them, chop them up and throw them in our stews, our soups. What if I don't want fresh herbs? Then I can take clumps of my herbs and I can hang them upside down to dry. I can put them on a rubber band. I can put them on a string. I can put them outside on a coat hanger. Another way is useful for our herbs. What if it's wintertime? I crush up my fresh herbs. I put it in the ice cube tray. I pour olive oil on the ice cube tray. I pop it in the freezer. A day later, I pop them out, put them in a freezer bag, and guess what? I can saute with them. I can put them in stews and stocks. I can use them all year round. In conclusion, get an herb, get a pot, get some potting soil, and find a sunny place to put it and have fun. And reap the benefits. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. It was an excellent presentation. Our next presentation will be a new Toastmaster, Mr. Ken Rupert. The introduction as far as what Ken is an author of 9 books. His subject tonight will be on goal setting, which is very, very close and dear to my heart. So without further introduction, Mr. Ken Rupert.
As everything with electronics, I hope that the PowerPoint is working. If not, the mic should be working. Is it not? All right, so we'll start over. I had a PowerPoint, and sometimes electronics being what they are, it's fine if it's not working because I can tell you all about goals tonight. But I want to start with a story first, okay? So the story is 4 young gentlemen enter into a restaurant, and they're seated at a table. And at this table, there is one glass that has some water in it. And the first one looks and says, "Oh, look, the glass is half full." He's known as an optimist. The second one says, "No, I beg to differ. That glass is half empty." He's a pessimist. And the third guy looks around the room at all the other tables and says, "You know, I believe our table is the only table that has a glass on it with water in it." That's a realist. And the fourth person, recognizing that he's a little bit thirsty, reaches across the table, grabs a glass of water, and drinks it. He is an opportunist. So I tell you that story to say this. When you think about goals, you have to think about how you look at life. You have to think about, are you an opportunist, which is the best person to be when you're setting goals? Because what you want to do is you want to recognize your thirst. You want to recognize what you're thirsty for, and you want to take action to then get it and satisfy that thirst. So there's a very simple formula when it comes to goal setting. And I'm going to give you that formula. First of all, I'll give you with the acronyms. It's PS to DFS in a certain TF. PS is present state. Okay, you want to evaluate your present state. You want to know where you are and how you got there. Those are the 2 main questions. Where am I and how did I get here? Terry Pritchard, in one of his books, wrote, "If you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you are. And if you don't know where you are, then you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, there's a good chance you're going wrong." And that's what the present state is all about. The present state is designed to let you understand where you are. The second part of that, the DFS, is desired future state. In the desired future state, what you're really looking to do is you are looking to dream. You're looking at trying to figure out where it is you want to go, and you want to be able to envision what that looks like. And then the TF is the time frame between those 2. Now, in there, you don't actually execute on the goal. Okay, you achieve the goal. You execute on objectives. And that's another part of the equation, is the objectives. And in order to identify your objectives and really to lay down your timeline, you have to do what's called a gap analysis. And a gap analysis just says, what am I missing that I need to get to where I want to go? And once you identify those things that you're missing, then you're able to start laying out, in order to get my objectives, this is my first objective. If I attain this, then it's going to move me down the line. And your objectives are where you really execute on your goals. So you don't execute on the goal, you achieve the goal, you execute on your objectives. And in this process, if you do this, what happens is your desired future state eventually becomes your current present state. And you begin to stack your goals, and success is built off of success, and achievement is built off of achievement. And that's what this process does. So it's a very simple foundation. It's present state. Where am I and how did I get here? It's desired future state. Where do I want to go and what does that look like? It's the gap analysis. What am I missing that I need in order to obtain what I want to obtain? It's the objectives. Now that I know what I need to obtain, what's my logical order in order to obtain it? And then it's that time frame. How long is it going to take me to get what I need to get? If you have a bachelor's degree and you want to go on to get a master's degree, you can say present state, I have a bachelor's degree, I want to get to a master's degree. It's going to take me 2.5 years to do it. Now I have a sense of urgency because I have a 2.5-year window. I got my objectives. I've got X amount of classes. I need to obtain 40 credit hours. So I have my objectives. Each class is an objective. You're going to have to pay for it. So you're going to have to set a complementary goal with how are you going to afford this, whether you're going to work for a company to have them pay for it, whether you're going to use a student loan or whatever. So there's different aspects, and your objectives can actually be complementary. They're not so much as achieving the same thing as much as what they're doing is they're getting you to the goal you want to get to. So that is the basic model. Present state, desired future state. In a certain amount of time, you do a gap analysis, and you hit your objectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ken. Great job. One thing I failed to mention, we have Mr. Joe Watts up here as our timer. Each one of the speeches that you're hearing tonight are 5 to 7 minute speeches. The importance of that is so then the the speaker can keep his time as far as doing it according to what the 5 to 7 minutes speeches are. So at 5 minutes, Joe puts the green flag up. Then for the next one at 6 minutes, he puts the yellow. Then at the red, that's at 7 minutes. So you can go from 4.5 minutes minimum to a maximum of 7.5 minutes. All right, now I'd like to introduce our next Toastmaster. Mike Platt is our experienced Toastmaster for this evening. He's a stand-up comic, and he's going to give a speech on 3 ships. 3 ships? Mike Platt.
It's said that the first modern man was Christopher Columbus. When he started out, he didn't know where he was going. When he arrived, he didn't know where he was. And when he returned, he didn't know where he'd been. And he did it all on someone else's money. Let's hope that we, as experienced professionals in the community, are not like Christopher Columbus. When we start out, we're going to have a plan, an overview of where it is that we want to go. We've got a roadmap. And when we get there, we're going to know that we've accomplished this goal. And when it's all over and we start a third time, we're going to know how it was that we put things into action so that we too can accomplish things in the future. But you know, in a very real sense, we are like Christopher Columbus. Christopher had 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And we as professionals in our communities have 3 ships. They are leadership, citizenship, and salesmanship. Let's take a look at the first ship in our armada, that being leadership. There has never been a bigger need than there is in the world today for leaders. Leaders in school, leaders in industry, leaders in government, leaders in civic organizations. The problem that we seem to have is no one wants to take the responsibility for what goes on around them. And I'll give you an example. Envision, if you will, with me, in a clearing in the forest, one of the most beautifully chiseled animals that you'll ever see. Lots of points on his antlers, white across the chest, and beautiful among the flank. And you look out there and you say, what a superb specimen. And as he comes closer, you get a little bit more nervous. And then all of a sudden, he's right here, face to face. You can see his eyes, you can smell his breath, and as he scuffs, you can hear his foot. And that's when the leader arises. That's when the leader steps up and he says, "The buck stops here." That's leadership. That's accountability. That's taking responsibility for what goes on. And you know, we see it every day. We see it in politics, we see it in business, we see it in school. There's a chronic need for someone to step up and take responsibility for what goes on. And then they too can say, "The buck stops here." The second ship in our armada is citizenship. Not too long ago, a day came up in our calendar wherein we had the opportunity to go out and make a choice as to who led us into the future. Who was going to plan and execute the government that we need and the restraints and constraints within which we live. It's your responsibility to go out and vote, and that's citizenship. Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't go out and vote, you don't have the ability to complain. You have no rights because you let go one of the most critical elements that we have today. You've foregone the opportunity to make a choice. You didn't vote. The third ship with which I would like to acquaint you is a thing called salesmanship. And salesmanship is probably the most overlooked and maligned of all the ships out there. It's said that people who are salesmen are glad-handers, they make use of other people's weaknesses, and they pay no attention to anything except getting the money. And you know, that's not true. A good salesman is an educator. He or she tells you what the program is that they have to offer and how, if you use it, you'll improve and enrich your own life. A salesman will tell you how you can overcome the problems that you face. And because of their advice and their wisdom and their willingness to help you, you will come out ahead if you simply pay attention. Salesmanship is one of the oldest occupations in the world and one of the most lucrative. Only if we're willing to take part and to work along with it. You know, every one of us is a salesman. Whether it becomes a case of asking our boss for a raise, asking what dinner item do you recommend? Hey, what do you think about dessert? Or asking some good-looking girl for a date. Salesmanship, each and every one. And it's your opportunity to participate. Let's take a look at the three ships, because they are the vessels that are going to cause you to improve your life. Salesmanship, leadership, citizenship. I wish for you, as you go through life and you set sail, that you'll have a warm sun on your shoulder, a gentle breeze in your sail, and a smooth sea under your ship. I share with you what I believe to be the 10 strongest two-letter words in the English language. And they are, if it is to be, it is up to me. Conversely, they are your three ships: leadership, citizenship, and salesmanship. I wish you a happy and a smooth voyage.
Mike. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Platt. Our next part of our presentation is what is known as the table topics. Our table topics master is our Vice President of Education, Leslie Piero. And she's going to explain what table topics is, the timing of it, and also who will be the contestants coming up here. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Leslie Piero.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Table Topics has two folds. One is it gives us the opportunity to speak extemporaneously without prior knowledge of the topic or question being asked. And two, it also allows more time for the evaluators to evaluate the previous speeches. It's a fun part of the evening or the meeting. The answers are to be 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, the green signal goes up. At 1.5, the yellow signal. And at 2 is the red signal. And the idea is to call on people that didn't have a large speaking part tonight. So I was going to call on Thomas. Would you like to try one tonight? Thank you, Thomas. Let me ask the question. Sure. If money were no object, and you could choose wherever you wanted to go, would you prefer a vacation at the beach or at the mountains, and why?
Thank you. Good evening. The question that was asked was, if money was not an option, would I prefer to have a vacation at the beach or in the mountains? And the honest answer that I have is I would much rather have the opportunity to live in the mountains. And the reason is, number one, my major in college is environmental studies biology. And for that reason, I found a profound truth in loving nature. And if you've ever been to the mountains, then you will be able to see that from the clearest tops of the mountains, you can just see the sky and the horizon to the very deepest of areas beyond. For that reason, I don't know why, it just seems as if the mountains would be the perfect place to build a family, a home, and a stronghold for our nation. Although that may not be the dream for many people, for me, if money was no option, then I would much rather live in the mountains than by the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. The next person I'd like to call for a table topics question is Eric. Would you like to come and answer a question for us? Thank you, Eric. If pet allergies didn't exist and there were no landlord rules against it, would your favorite pet be a cat or a dog, and why?
Okay. I grew up with cats, so I'm very familiar with them, how they operate. Dogs are a little different. Actually, I think the breed of dog makes a difference also. To play it safe, I would go with the cat. The best thing about the cats is that they are, and a short-haired cat. They are neat. I mean, clean is what I meant by that. and particularly the short-haired cat, so the hair doesn't go everywhere around the house. And dogs can be messy, just in various ways. If you get the wrong kind, they jump on you and jump on your friends, and sometimes get them wet a little bit. But I would go with a cat.
Thank you, Eric. I know Joe's doing double duty tonight as timer, but I'd like to call him up here for a question. It won't be sports or current events. But Joe, why did you join Toastmasters?
Why did I join Toastmasters? Why did I join Toastmasters? Many, many years ago when I joined, maybe it was eons ago, I don't remember now, I joined because we had a problem with our education system. We had Mr. Hyde in there as superintendent, and he was controlling things. I tried to get some changes made, and they said that we're going to do it. Him and his three cronies, and then the main cronies with him, said they were going to make the changes. They did not make the changes. They lied. And I went to the meetings with the county and kind of raised a bit of hell, I guess you would say. I'm not sometimes overly diplomatic. I can be very caustic, and I'm not afraid to do it. And from that, what's led me to Toastmasters. I like Toastmasters. I'm not afraid to get up and talk. Matter of fact, when I joined Toastmasters, my statement was, I will get up and talk and probably break your eardrums because I can go fairly loud. But the problem you're going to have is to get me to shut up and sit down.
Thank you, Joe. Judd, would you like to answer a question? If you're fond of dessert and your choices of ice cream are vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate, which would you choose and why?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's an easy one. There's no contest. Chocolate. I'm all about chocolate. I love chocolate. If you want to get me something for my birthday, Christmas, anytime, I'm always into chocolate. What I like about chocolate is probably the sweetness, and I didn't realize it was so sweet until I got a Chinese fiance. And I say that because in China, they're not into sweet. In fact, they don't eat dessert really much at all. And when she came here and started eating the type of desserts I like, which is chocolate and chocolate fudge, chocolate brownies, chocolate cake, she couldn't handle it. She was like, "Oh, this is way too sweet for me. I can't do it." And then when I went to China earlier this year, I came to realize, oh, there's no dessert here. Where's the dessert? I need some dessert. It's after dinner. I need some dessert. Well, I had to go 2 weeks without chocolate in China, and that was tough. That was really tough. But I managed, and when I got back, I loaded up on some chocolate because I cannot go long without chocolate. In fact, I don't go a day without chocolate. I've already had my chocolate for today, so I'm okay. But if I hadn't, I would be a nervous wreck. So thank you. For me, it's all about chocolate. Thank you.
Thank you, Judd. I think we have time for one more, and I'm going to call on somebody that has another role tonight. Tina, would you like to come and answer a question? Tina, if you had the opportunity to return to school and finances were not an obstacle, Would you return? Why or why not?
Thank you, Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, would I return to school? That is a resounding no. Don't get me wrong, I was a very good student. I graduated from Francis Scott Key High School here in Carroll County at the top of my class. I went to Towson University where I received an accounting degree, and I took a number of years off from school and just worked full-time. And then maybe about 8 years ago, it was suggested to me that I return to school to earn my master's degree. So I went to the University of Baltimore and earned a master's degree in taxation. And I have to say, I did enjoy the program very much. It has been very useful in my career as a CPA. But I'm finished. I have no desire to further my education. I think a master's degree is plenty. I do find participating in Toastmasters to be very educational and very beneficial to my career, but as far as pursuing any formal education, no, I will not.
Thank you, Tina. I, however, was a professional student for 20 years. And if it wasn't for money and the duress of preparing for tests, I think I would go back. But I'm not ready at this point. And I, too, love chocolate. Life isn't complete without chocolate. And Toastmasters has done wonders for me. I have a long ways to go. But I was one of those that was petrified to stand in front of a room and speak to strangers. I've grown some. I've been in Toastmasters since 2008. It's done wonders for me. I'm in other leadership programs in other societies, and I benefit a lot from all of that. At this time, I believe I'll call our Toastmaster of the evening back up to the stage. Bill. Thank you, Bill. And turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you very much. Great job, Leslie. You're doing wonderful. So this is going to be the highlight of our meeting tonight. This is where we get our break, and we'll be going on a 15-minute break over to our break room over here, and there's a lot of food that we have over there, and we hope that you will enjoy it. So then after 15 minutes, we'll come back, and Joe Watts will start the meeting off, and we'll come up. Then we'll go into our evaluation part of the meeting, and Bob Logan will be the general evaluator. So enjoy the break and enjoy the food. Thank you. Come on, Joe.
It's time to start the meeting again, so please get ready. And here's our Toastmaster for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. What we're going to do now is this is called our evaluation period. So I'm going to call experienced Toastmaster Bob Logan, who will be our general evaluator. Bob's going to be coming up, and he will explain what the evaluation process is all about and any other general remarks he has about the meeting. Bob Logan. There you go, Bob.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and viewing audience. The evaluation portion of the meeting is probably, in my opinion, the most important part of the meeting for Toastmasters, because the speakers, the three prepared speeches, get immediate or almost immediate feedback. Now, the feedback should be positive, but should offer a suggestion or so for the people to consider working on. And the thing to remember about the evaluation process is when our evaluator gets up here and says they like something or something could have been better, it's just one person's opinion. The speaker's free to take what they feel is valuable and leave the rest behind. We have 3 great evaluators coming up to evaluate our 3 speakers, and we'll introduce our first evaluator at this point. Before I do, though, the times of the evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, the green signal will be displayed. At 2.5 minutes, the yellow signal will be displayed. And at 3 minutes, the red signal will be displayed. Our first evaluator this evening will be evaluating Kathleen's speech. Please help me welcome Karen Spicer.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Kathleen, one of our speakers this evening. She was doing what we call project number 7 out of our Competent Communicator Manual. It is research your topic. Do we feel like Kathleen knew what she was talking about? I do. Certainly, I do. She had clearly identified these herbs for us, knew how to plant them and care for them, and gave us tips on how to use them. So I think Kathleen did a great job today. We work actually from an evaluation guide, and there are some specific questions here, which maybe we'll talk about just a little bit. The topic certainly applied to all of us. Any of us can use herbs, enjoy herbs. Any of us can get involved in gardening. Again, we discussed that she was knowledgeable about her topic. She showed us with her visuals all the details that we needed to know about the herbs that she was telling us about. She even gave us history, which was very interesting, about how they came through the Middle Ages. She encouraged all of our participation in growing herbs. That was the point tonight, was she wanted to share that with us so that all of us would come out and do the same thing. In terms of her body language and her vocal variety, I felt like she did a very good job because she easily moved through each of the items that she had to show us, each of her visual aids, paused, showed them to us, we understood. In an evaluation, though, we also like to make a couple points of improvement. Constructive criticism, if you will, and some friendly tips. One of the tips that I would maybe have for Kathleen tonight would be that as she was going through some of these visual aids, she paused and she played with these plants just a little bit. If she had pointed them out to us, stopped, that would have been fine. I also thought that you maybe could have started out on a stronger note in encouraging us about herbs and why you were going to tell us about them. So maybe work on that, work on the opening, make that a little bit stronger. Otherwise, I think it was a great presentation, and we look forward to a lot more from you at our meetings, Kathleen.
Thank you, Karen. Our second speaker tonight was Ken Rupert, and evaluating Ken's speech will be Tina McCubbin. Please help me welcome Tina.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Ken. Tonight, Ken presented speech number 2 from the Competent Communicator Manual. The purpose of this speech is to organize your speech. According to the manual, the speaker is to present a talk that is organized in a manner that leads the audience to a clearly defined goal. The speech includes a beginning, a body, and a conclusion, supported by major facts and ideas. I thought Ken did a very nice job with the speech project. He started off with a very good introduction. He had a story about a glass of water and demonstrated how different people have different perspectives, which I thought was a very good lead-in for the rest of his speech. His speech was supported with a lot of research and facts. For example, he talked about the PS and the DFS. The PS is the present state. DFS is the desired future state. And he talked about how to reach your goals. And for someone who is only presenting his second speech, I feel that Ken has very advanced speaking skills. I mean, it's obvious that he has some prior speaking experience before coming to Toastmasters. Certain things that I thought that he did really well is I thought he had very good eye contact, he had good hand gestures, and of course his speech was very well organized. The only suggestion that I really have is that I thought that he spoke very, very fast at times, especially later in the speech. It seemed like he just got very, very excited and just started talking very fast. And he did have one at the beginning when he had a little bit of a problem with his microphone and he had to start over, but overall I thought he handled that very well. So overall I think Ken did a very nice job and I look forward to hearing him speak again. Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you, Tina. Our third speaker this evening was Mike Platt, and evaluating Mike will be Yvonne Asen. Please help me welcome Yvonne.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and others. Bill Murphy, when introduced Mike as a stand-up comic, but I don't know if I'm supposed to evaluate the introductor, but that really wasn't necessary because he didn't give a humor speech. It was more of a inspirational speech. In fact, it was very inspirational. He talked about leadership, citizenship, and salesmanship. And as far as citizenship was concerned, I was really glad that I got a sticker that said, "I voted on Election Day." Leadership, he really inspired us to do leadership and salesmanship. And I think we do this all the time, that we have to sell ourselves, we have to sell our this, we have to sell that. So that's a very good point to give. Christopher Columbus, we all know about Christopher Columbus, so this was a good part of his speech with the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. I have only a couple suggestions for Mike. At one point, he stepped out of the line of the lights. And I don't think it bothers everyone, but I'm slightly hearing impaired, so when he lowers his voice at the end of a sentence, I don't get it. But overall, I think it was a very good speech, and I think he will enter speech contests, and I wish him a lot of good luck when he does that.
Thank you, Yvonne. I borrowed your Competent Communicator manual for just a moment, Yvonne, so thank you for bringing this. I just wanted to mention to the viewing audience that each speaker there's 10 assignments in the basic manual. Each assignment has objectives, and there's questions at the end that the evaluators base some of their evaluation on, in addition to their own personal thoughts. So if you should ever join the Toastmaster program, it's not like you get up and have to do it yourself. There's a manual that guides you through it. So thank you for bringing that so I could use it as a visual aid. One of my jobs as general evaluator is to evaluate the evaluators. I thought they all did a very nice job. I liked how you pointed out that perhaps Mike in his introduction could have left off his desire to be a stand-up comedian because he is an inspirational person, and it was more an inspirational speech. That comment might have been very appropriate if he had been a humorous speech. And Yvonne would know because she was our most recent division representative at the humorous speech contest. So she knows humor when she hears it, and that wasn't all that funny, Mike, but it was very inspirational. Tina, very good evaluation as always. I thought you did a great job of hitting the high points and offering Ken a couple good suggestions. Karen, the same thing. Very good evaluation by all three. My other jobs are to call on the assistant reports. And we'll start with our counter this evening. And I guess you guys are coming up here to be on stage. So our counter this evening was Judd Miles. Please help me welcome Judd.
All right, thank you. Well, it was a really good night to be the counter because I didn't have to count. It was very low, very few ahs. The only things I detected were a few double clutches from Karen, but no ahs, buts, nothing like that. Nothing from Ken or Mike, just nothing to detect at all. On the table topics from Thomas, I did hear 3 uhs. Eric, I heard 7 Joe, 2 uhs. And Tina, nothing. Sounded great. The evaluators, no ahs, nothing from any of the evaluators. So it was a great night to be an counter. Thank you.
Thank you, Judd. Our grammarian this evening was Yvonne Asen. Please help me welcome Yvonne back.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and very valuable others. Kathleen had no grammatical errors that I detected. She did very well. Ken said, okay. I don't know how okay got to be so popular in our everyday conversation. But is it a question? Is it an exclamation point? Is it a period? What does okay mean? I really don't like to hear it. But Eric used an okay too. But you hardly notice that unless you were really looking for it. Bill Murphy said gonna, and I heard a gonna a couple other times, but as our esteemed Maddog pointed out one meeting, gonna is a word. So apparently it's all right to use it. Joe said hell. Is that okay? I guess it was. I say hell sometimes. I had a summer from hell. So it works. That is about all I have to report for the grammarian part.
Thank you, Yvonne. And our timer this evening, because one of the things about Toastmasters is we like to stay within our time limits because time is a valuable thing. So let's welcome Joe, who told us earlier sometimes it's hard to get him to be quiet, so let's time him. The timing report, Joe. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, studio audience and all that, and Toastmasters for the evening. Timing tonight, everybody was in time. Karen was 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Ken was 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Mike was 7 minutes and 13 seconds. And on table topics, Thomas was 1 minute and 15 seconds. Eric was 1 minute and 30 seconds. I was 1 minute and 20 seconds. Judd was 1 minute and 20 seconds. And Tina was 1 minute and 23 seconds. Oh, boy, we got to get down to details. Karen Spicer on the evaluation was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Tina was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And Yvonne was 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And that concludes my time review.
Well, thank you, Joe. The other role of the general evaluator, they introduce the evaluators, give some feedback to the evaluators, and introduce the assistants. We've done all that. Now it's my turn to give my thoughts on the overall impression of the meeting. I thought the meeting went very smoothly for us being in an environment we're not that familiar with. It's quite different being up here on the stage with the lights and the cameras running. And I think everyone handled it very well. A couple things I really liked. A nicely printed agenda distributed when we came in. Introductions by the speakers that were prepared, very good. Always good to have an introduction. And if there was one thing I could suggest, we're going to kick Bill while he's sitting down. That's because we like Bill a lot. On his agenda, he has The Word of the Day by Bill Murphy. It's not printed here. I'm sure the word of the day was the, so everybody used the word of the day. All in all, a great meeting. I've had a lot of fun, and I guess I'll welcome our Toastmaster of the evening, Bill Murphy, back up so he can give me a kick.
Thank you, Bob Logan. What a great meeting that we've had tonight. And this is part of what Toastmasters does throughout the world. There's Toastmaster International is one of the largest public speaking organizations in the world. We're in 123 countries. We have 313 Toastmasters throughout the world. So I hope you could, the viewing audience here could come and visit us at the Carroll Nonprofit Center in Westminster. And I'm Bill Murphy, and I'm the Vice President of Membership, and you could reach me at 410-374-6339. And before we close, there's one more thing. I'd like to call up our distinguished guest, Susan Krebs, our legislator from District 5, Annapolis, Maryland. And Susan is going to be, we're calling up Mike Maddog Sater at this time for a special recognition. Mike, come on up.
Is this mic on? I want to thank you all. This was really an interesting evening for me. And I'm going to just say, is that okay? No, I learned a lot. I really did learn a lot, and it's a great opportunity for people to get up and speak, because I know when I first started on the Board of Ed, it was very intimidating to get in front of a group of people and speak, and this is a wonderful opportunity for all of you, and I've enjoyed it. I did not know that we had Toastmasters in Carroll County, so I appreciate it. But I wanted to take the opportunity this evening to have a special recognition while we had this time. And as you all know, our leader here, doesn't like to be recognized, but we're going to do that anyway. Tonight we're going to recognize our Hampstead resident, Mike Maddog Sater. Mike served his country from 1967 to 1970, after enlisting right out of North Carroll High School. And I think this evening is a great opportunity to recognize this, since we just finished Veterans Day last week and we just had elections. And those elections were made possible by our veterans. And I think we all realize that. We would not have the opportunities today to go to those polls if these men that are serving out there, the men that are in the studio today and the people that are listening, if they had not volunteered to serve our country. And we thank all of you. And Mike is just getting an award for him on behalf of everyone else. I know he doesn't want to accept it, but we're going to honor him anyway. Mike overcame multiple injuries incurred during a mission in Vietnam, but Mike's service did not stop there. This year, Mike was named the 2014 Maryland Veteran of the Year by the Joint Veterans Committee, and that is really an honor. And we're honored that in Carroll County is where you reside. He was chosen for this special recognition because of his tireless work on behalf of veterans and helping returning soldiers navigate the VA system and the bureaucratic paperwork required to access our disability benefits. He has committed countless hours to helping other veterans that have faced injury or disease, and they need to receive their treatment through the government benefits, and sometimes this can be a little overwhelming. And Mike even has gone out of town, out of state, to help some of these veterans. He has a passion to help our veterans in our community. He also serves in a number of other ways in Carroll County. He serves on the Carroll County Circle of Caring, which is an organization that's designed to help homelessness in Carroll County, and some of those homeless are veterans. He also is an assistant adjunct with the Maryland chapter of the Disabled Veterans. We have 14,000 veterans in Carroll County. I'm not sure if anyone realized that, and that's a lot of folks that deserve our service. He also helped bring a couple of services to our county that we're very proud of here. We have a veterans coordinator that just started recently, in the last month, in Carroll County to also help with these types of activities. And Mike was instrumental in talking to our county commissioners and Commissioner Doug Howard in getting this service. I think we're the only county in the state that has it. We also have a veterans shuttle that shuttles our veterans to the VA hospitals. And I think Mike's initiative in starting that with our county commissioners he was instrumental in that as well. So these aren't little things. These are big ideas, and he follows through with them. So I just had one thing I wanted to read to you, and I heard this actually at Veterans Day, and I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, but when I was at a Memorial Day ceremony this year over in Union Bridge, someone read this poem, and it just really hit me, and I think it's very suitable to Mike. It's called The Dash. Has anyone heard of The Dash? This applies to you, Mike, and everyone out here that serves our community. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend, and he referred to the dates on his tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But then he said what matters most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? And I'm here to tell you that Mike's dash is full. His dash is complete, and we are so proud of you. And I just wanted to acknowledge you again. And I know we sent you one of these in the mail, but that wasn't sufficient. I wanted to hand it to you personally in front of your peers. I have a resolution from the Maryland House of Delegates. House resolution, be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates offers its sincerest congratulations to Mike Sater in recognition of your selection as 2014 Maryland Veteran of the Year. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on this 17th day of November, signed by the Speaker of the House, Mike Bush, and sponsors by Delegates Elliott, myself, Delegate Reedy, and Delegate Stocksdale. And we thank you, and I also have a Maryland flag for you, and thank you for all you've done for our community.
Maddog, you want to say anything? I've known Mike Maddog Sater for over 11 years. He's personally helped me to get my VA benefits. And not only myself, but there's literally hundreds of other veterans that he's done the same thing for over the last 10 years that I know of. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mike for a couple words.
I thank you for this recognition. I've said this a dozen times before, and I'm going to say it again. It wasn't all me. Everything that I've accomplished this year and in the past 8 years, 9 years, all been a team. I've never once been alone in any of the things that I've accomplished. Probably one of the most important players on that team is somebody you very seldom see with me, and that's my wife of 44 years. Barbara's a tremendous supporter. She's always there to help me. For those that know about some of my particular taste in grammar and love to use certain words, well, my wife edits them out of most of the things that I write and corrects them for me. Here in Carroll County, we've had some great support. All of our party members have come before us and helped us and supported everything we wanted to do, the transportation system, the getting Jeff Collins in place as a service officer. We're the only county in the state that has that. We now have other counties that are coming to Carroll County and asking how we done it. What's the guidelines? How can we get involved and how can we bring that forward? We're presently working on getting health care here in Carroll County, a direct service spot for veterans to be able to go to and not have to drive to Green Street or Fort Detrick or Martinsburg, West Virginia. So we're not finished yet, and we're going to keep on going, and with the support and the help of all the people of Carroll County, we'll move forward. I thank you again.
Thank you very much, Maddog. And now that concludes our meeting. We thank all of you for coming out here tonight for this special meeting of the Carroll County Toastmasters. Good evening.